Thanks for staying with us. The efforts to reform Nigeria's elections have advanced, but critical issues persist. The 2023 polls exposed gaps in the Electoral Act 2022, including ambiguities in results collation, weak enforcement of INEC guidelines, and the judiciary's inconsistent rulings. Politicians' disregard for reforms and judicial precedents undermines public trust. To discuss this with us is Dr. Peter Michael Piper, a broadcaster, an advocate, and also a consultant. Good morning and welcome to the program, sir.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Okay. This is where we find ourselves in our electoral process. And let's first of all get what you feel about where we have reached in our electoral process now.
All right. Thank you very much. First, it's a good thing that Nigeria is a democracy. We are happy that we are a democracy. So which simply means that we are not in a military government. We are free to choose our own leaders.
Are we in a democracy or a civil rulership?
Now we'll be talking about, no, I want to say democracy.
Okay.
Because what we're talking about is reforming, the system. So we are in civil rulership. We are also a democracy.
Okay.
But to get the democracy right, then we need, to set the rules of the game properly. I need you to imagine this, that you're watching a game of football and you do not have the clear guidelines or the rules for the game. And all of a sudden, in the 18-yard box, someone uses his hand, the attacker, and push the ball in, and the referee blows, it's a goal, and you can't argue it because you don't know the rules. So we already are in a democracy. To get it right, we need to know what are the rules of the game, and who can set the rules. We'll be talking about the National Assembly. Are they setting the proper rules? Do we have fair rules, on this game? So this is where we are at. We've already succeeded as a country to move away from military dictatorship to civilian government. And we've started this beautiful experiment of democracy. So what we need to do now is set the rules of the game properly. And that's when we're talking about electoral reform. So that's where we are at the moment. Electoral reforms.
I don't know, when we were talking about football, I was just smiling here. When we were growing up, we knew the rules of football, but we added some more. One of the rules is 3 corners made 1 goal. Whether it was a football rule or not, that didn't concern us. And the other one was that the owner of the ball must be part of that play, whether he can play or not. So it seems as if that's the same situation that is happening here. Whether we know the rules or not, we're adding some other things that will be beneficial to us. So the members of the National Assembly seem to be the ball owners right now. They must play, and you must allow them, no matter what it is. So do we trust that process, that they can make the rules that will make us have a democracy that will really be a democracy and not just a semblance of democracy?
Well, let's just get it straight. Members of the National Assembly were sent by the nation, the people, to assemble to make rules for the people.
Correct.
So they have a duty. They have a job. They can't shy away from it. They must do it. I boldly and bravely advocate that people should leave the president alone. The pressure on the president of the federation is too much. He is an executive. He's not a legislator. So the focus right now of all Nigerians should be on the legislators, the National Assembly. They have a duty. And if they have forgotten their duty, then let's begin to remind them. So let's begin to tell them why they are there. Just like you talk about the game of football, Nigeria, we're so peculiar that we always believe we can change the game. Just like You mentioned your own. We have football, three corners is
one
equal
goal.
to a goal.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of electoral system we have right now in the country. So we need to reform this. And whether we love the legislators or not, whether we trust them, doesn't matter. We have put them in a place, we've given them a job. In fact, let me tell you, my friend, the highest position of authority in a country is not the seat of the president. It's not the seat of the legislators. It is the seat,
Of
the office of the citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Beautiful.
And we holding the highest offices in this country, the citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we are demanding from the members of the National Assembly, from all the parliamentarians, that we need electoral reform. We need to know the rules of the game. The rules of the game must be set properly. Every player in the political sphere must know the rules of the game. And if they don't know what they're supposed to do, then perhaps we'll begin to set the agenda for them. First, we are asking for independent monitoring, not the caricature that has been happening in the country. So when we talk about an independent election monitor, we're not just talking about one idle observer standing there at the polling unit, just watching all the drama take place, and at the end of the day, he goes home. No, we want independent observers who will not only observe what is going on in each polling unit, but will be able to post the results of what they have observed in that polling unit to their own portal. So if we have, for instance, such independent observers, they will be able to project the results, even on Plus TV. We're not saying announce the result or announce the winner. It is INEC that has the responsibility to announce the winners, but we want to be able to see the projected results on our screens, on the screens of every television station. We want to be able to see that. And who are this type of independent observers we're talking about? We're talking about credible institutions. So if, for instance, you make the rules simple that the Christian Association of Nigeria, with the multiplicity of all its members everywhere, can become an independent observer. They have enough capacity to make sure that at least one or two persons are in every polling unit. You can also have whatever Islamic organization of Nigeria as one of the observers. You can also have the NBA as an independent observer. You can have the Nigerian Medical Association as an independent observer. You can have the National Union of Teachers or National Union of Road Transport Workers. When we have these independent observers and we have an election, and when they observe, they all upload into their own independent platforms, their own independent blogs or their independent portals. So when you go to court, in case there is a problem, and we're expecting INEC to tell us the winner. So if INEC says Mr. A got 1 million votes, and all the independent observers said, no, Mr. A got 10 million votes, then they can go to court. We can have a proper process where we can ask INEC, how did you arrive at this? But a situation where INEC is the judge, is the jury, it's the prosecutor and everything, you can have free, and fair election. So we are in a democracy. What we're asking for, define the rules of the game. Set the rules of the game. Yeah. So if we have truly independent monitors who will independently monitor it and tell us the results that they got from independently monitoring our elections, so that we can now make a comparison with what we get from INEC. And if there's a disparity between what the independent observers have observed and INEC, and someone should go to jail for it. It should be a criminal offense in Nigeria to rig elections. By the time you start holding people accountable and people start serving prison terms for rigged elections, then we will have a proper and stable democracy.
Who will make these people serve these terms? Because I'm just thinking, well, the office of the citizen, the highest office, and I think a lot of people have also said that. But, you know, by the way, if you're bringing the Christian Association of Nigeria, we'll vet all the bishops, if you know what I'm talking about, because sometimes we find some bishops that we'll vet all of them. Yes.
Let's not start talking about bishops standing in line in support of individual.
That's by the way, but the thing is,
we're talking about real.
Yeah.
We're not saying the bishops should go to all the polling units.
I know. That was just an aside to make us laugh. But the thing is INEC the only culpable person or institution in this? Because you're taking, the phrase for last election was go to court. Because it was almost certain that if you go to court, we will find that 5-hour judgment, that was it 5 hours or even more than that judgment that came to naught. And these things you're talking about, independent upload of these things, there are people who showed us that some of these results were not results, they were even photographs of individuals, you know, there were things that there were discrepancies and all that. These things served no purpose when it came to the judgment. So what will the office of the citizen, what will the office of the citizen do to make sure that INEC sits up, the judiciary sits up, the police sits up, and every other agency that is connected sits up? Because maybe it's not a problem of the law, but it's a problem of enforcing and making the people who are involved to be afraid of the office of the citizen. So what will we do differently?
Yes, but let me say here, let me just say it here. It is not even about enforcing the law. Put proper laws and the laws will enforce themselves. For instance, now what we're saying now, if you have 10 different independent, observers and monitors who are legally permitted to project the figures they have seen, and if these figures can be taken to the law court, that yes, this is what. So in other words, if you have to rig the system, you have to bribe assuming we're having the observers that I called now, which means that for you to rig the Nigerian elections, which means you have to bribe the Christian Association of Nigeria, you have to bribe everyone in the Muslim Association, you have to bribe everyone in the Nigerian Bar Association, bribe everyone in the Medical Association, you bribe the Teachers Association. But if you can successfully bribe all the independent monitors to conspire with you to say you won the election, then a nation deserves the kind of leadership it gets. But if INEC comes out with a figure and there is a discrepancy between that figure and the figures of all the other independent monitors, then the court should be able to say, no, INEC, you're wrong. If all these people observed it and say Mr. A got 1 million votes, and just you, INEC, who conducted the election, you're telling us he got 10 million, you're wrong. And then the evidences of these independent election monitors can be tendered in the law court. But right now you do not have that as a law. So anybody can just come observe and walk away. And the only person who decides the election is INEC. Okay. So how can INEC be the only one conducting the election, observing their own election, declaring whatever results they want, and when you don't like it, they say, go to court? Yes, we want to go to court. We are happy to go to court. We are excited about going to court. But what we are saying here is the rules of the game. If I have to go to court, and I know that there are observers who observe everything in all the polling units, and these people are independent observers, independent, credible organizations that are trusted by the people, trusted by Nigerians, I would be glad to go to court. But if I have to go to court, and the only evidence I have is the evidence coming from the independent National Electoral Commission, then the process is rigged already before starting. So this is one of the things we're demanding for.
Yeah.
And right now, as I speak, there is a bill before the House of Representatives, and the bill is already on the second reading on this independent election monitoring. The bill is in the House already on the second reading. I think that bill was sponsored by Honorable Ben Etena Bene from Delta State, and the bill is already in the House. And we know the system. So what we're saying is, don't kill the bill. Don't shut it down. It's the people's bill. We want that bill. So when to pass through the House, the lower house, and through the Senate. So the litmus test here to the members of the National Assembly is we are observing. We want to see what they do with that bill. Okay. The moment they kick that bill out, they have sent a signal to all of us that they don't want free and fair election.
We have just 1 minute. We have just one minute more, 1 minute or even less than that. Apart from the independent observers, what other things do you want to see in the proposed bill? Because there are things that can still go in, and there are things that can be removed. What excites you about this bill, and what things do you expect to see in our electoral system, the new electoral system, which we are hoping to get as fast as possible, sir?
Yeah, we want to see independent candidacy. We want to see independent candidacy. If you can't get your ticket through APC, PDP, and any of all these political parties, you should be able to stand as an independent candidate. We want our Nigerians in the diaspora to be able to vote. We want all election to be electronically transmitted automatically. Don't tell us that there is no internet or that we can't use electronic devices. That's a lie. So if you put all of these things in place, if we can have independent candidates, if we can vote online, and every voting should be done electronically. If I am too old to go out to the polling unit and I can vote from my house, fine. We want Nigerians in the diaspora to be able to vote. They are still Nigerians. So these are the other things we're asking the National Assembly to do their job and do it right. And until they get it right, we are going to keep persuading them to do the very thing they've been asked to do. That's why they were voted in. That's why they are being called honorable and distinguished. So until they do the honorable thing and distinguish themselves, we'll keep asking questions. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Piper, for coming on the program. I love Tales by Moonlight, by the way. But it's been a pleasure having you on the show this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, we've been talking with Dr. Peter Michael Piper, broadcaster, advocate, and consultant. We were talking about the electoral process and what else can be done to make it better. And that's how we wrap it up on the show this morning. It has been a pleasure being with you all week. We're hoping that we'll rejoin, or we'll reconnect rather, from Monday to Friday next week for very exciting moments on the breakfast. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. Bye for now.